Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for jumping on the call today. The person that invited you to this call really wanted to share with you some powerful information that can help our horses and our dogs and our cats. So we're so excited to be able to share this information with you and give you a little bit of background of what it's all about. So first, I would like to just introduce myself and give you a little bit about my story and how I was introduced to this company and these products. My name is Jenny Field, and I live in Nevada. And our family is very outdoorsy, horsey people. I have two daughters that do the high school rodeo. And we have three horses on our property, and we just love our horses so much. But a couple years ago, one of our horses had a deep flexor tendon strain. And from that strain, it actually put so much stress on her navicular bone in her foot that it caused that bone to fracture. And so we went through, veterinarians to get opinions. We went through a whole rehab cycle and let her body heal. And the fracture did heal, and she had a great prognosis from it. But we still wanted something to support her body. So I started searching for a natural product to be able to support our horse while we got her back into shape, getting back into that high school rodeo atmosphere. She's a barrel racing horse. And so I started searching and came across this product called Nrf2 Activation. And I dug into it. I have a background in massage therapy, and so I wanted to really understand how this was going to support our horse moving forward. And I just fell in love with the science of this product. And I have a very special guest on this call that is an equine doctor, and she is going to share with you all of the information because she does it so much better than I do. But through this process of this Nrf2 activation, it is able to help on a cellular level. And I just knew that not only did our horses need to be on these products, all three of them, but I needed to be on these products, and my family needed to be on these products because they are for all mammals. And so we were able to share this information with lots of people, and we were just so excited about it. Our horse was able to get back into competition, and my daughter is now full-time high school rodeoing on her, and she is doing tremendous and incredible. So that's just a little bit of story on how we got introduced with this. I would like to introduce Dr. Alice Beretta. Like I said, she is an equine veterinarian. She specializes in horses because she loves them so much as well. But Dr. Beretta is a graduate from North Georgia University. She graduated in 2002, and she's just so passionate about just the health and wealth of our animals, and she loves the natural approaches to be able to share with her clients. And so that's kind of what drew her into this business as well. She has a beautiful family. Two incredible boys that are rambunctious and always going, and they are just incredible people. So I will pass it over to Dr. Alice, and she can share with you all of the incredible science and information behind these products.
Hi, Jenny. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I'm excited. Thank you for inviting me to share this information. It has been very powerful and very helpful. And most people do not know what Nrf2, or we call it Nrf2 for short. And it is something that I truly believe is a vital approach to our horses' health and other people, dogs also. It applies to all species. But when it first came to me, I was very interested in the science. It is very rare to find supplements that have the studies to back them, peer-reviewed research that you can find on pubmed.gov. So when this came to me, I just jumped deep into the science. My background in biochemistry really made me want to understand this on a cellular level and how it can help my patients. And the more I read, the more I wanted to read, and the more I found. And so I couldn't wait to start my patients on it and see how they would respond. So I just wanted to, explain how this works, and why horse people should know about it. And it all kind of boils down to what oxidative stress is. And we've all heard of stress, but not a lot of people realize what oxidative stress is. And oxidative stress is really a byproduct of our metabolism. And it is when we have too many free radicals for our body to manage. So those free radicals are a byproduct of normal life. Unfortunately, we have more and more free radicals as we get older, as our horses get older, and our ability to remove those free radicals diminishes over time as we get older. And there are other components to that, lifestyle, nutrition that will make a difference. But in general, if you're no longer growing, then you are aging. So that's why we start to see problems in horses, even at young ages. It's not unusual for 4 or 5-year-old athletes to have their hocks injected or already be on anti-inflammatories or be suffering exercise-related, injuries. But oxidative stress is linked to more than 200 chronic diseases that are linked to aging. And as you can kind of see from that wheel, is that at a cellular level, that stress is damaging cells from head to toe, or head to tail. And so diseases that we see in horses involving eyes that I see a lot are uveitis, sometimes tumors, especially with the pink eyelids, heart diseases. We don't see a lot of heart disease in horses, but we do see abnormal heart rhythms and that sort of thing. The immune system, I see a lot of immune mediated things, whether it's allergies to the bugs or equine asthma. Joints, that's a huge one, definitely for our athletes and horses that we're trying to keep as healthy as long as possible so that they'll have a great quality of life and be able to do their job and what they love to do with their humans. Kidney disease, lung disease, all organs. The skin definitely is one of those things that I get a lot of calls, especially this time of year with the bugs and the rain. And so oxidative stress is present in all of our cells, all of our horses' cells, and it really is that imbalance where you have too many free radicals and the body is not able to effectively eliminate them. And a great way to think of oxidative stress is when you cut an apple in half and you see it turn brown, that's what's happening inside your body, inside your cells. So that browning of an apple is essentially what oxidative stress is. It's oxidizing of your cells, and it's from free radical damage. And in people, we produce 300 sextillion free radicals a day. So that's 27 zeros. So how does oxidative stress affect your horse? Things that I see in horses that are linked to oxidative stress are metabolic diseases, equine Cushing's in our older horses, and metabolic syndrome. Even younger horses struggle with glucose metabolism and crusty necks and laminitis. So that's a huge one. Inflammatory airway diseases, or sometimes called heaves, or equine asthma. Eye diseases like uveitis, osteoarthritis. We all have joints, we all have cartilage, and it only lasts so long. So that is one of the things that I'm very passionate about, is not waiting until the horse has severe osteoarthritis and then trying to turn back time. It's how can we prevent that cartilage damage and that inflammation at a young age, so that they can have, a better quality of life. Exercise-related fatigue and injury, and sarcoids and other tumors like melanomas. So the big question is, how do we fight oxidative stress and free radical damage in our horses? And most people understand the importance of antioxidants. We've all heard of vitamin C, vitamin E. When you look at a lot of horse supplements, a lot of them have vitamin C, vitamin E, omegas, flavonoids. And but the big question is, are they effective? Are they helpful? And what most people don't understand is that the body has these indirect antioxidants, or these more complex molecules that are antioxidant enzymes. And they work differently from your direct antioxidants like vitamin C and vitamin E. And vitamin C and vitamin E work at a 1-to-1 ratio, versus those antioxidant enzymes work at 1,000,000 to 1 per second. So they are constantly scavenging and removing those free radicals effectively. And a great way to explain this would be if you had a huge barn fire and you were trying to extinguish that fire. Your direct antioxidant would be like throwing a Dixie cup of water at that fire. Yes, you're helping, but in the grand scheme of things, you're not going to make a difference. Your indirect antioxidants are like your fire hose, where you're spraying over and over, back and forth, until you finally get it extinguished. So that's kind of the moral of the story, is not to take more antioxidants. Actually, taking too much of your direct antioxidants can do the opposite effect and be harmful. And people don't realize that, and a lot of times they're over supplementing, and they are, people come out of their tack rooms with these tubs full of things that are covered in dust, and I have to wipe them off and look at the ingredients. And more often than not, they're giving 3 different things that have the same ingredients in them, and they're probably doing more harm than good. So the moral is, don't take antioxidants, but make more antioxidants so that you can reduce this oxidative stress. And that's where Nrf2 or Nrf2 comes in, because it stimulates the expression of those antioxidant enzymes. And so this is where I like to talk about Protandim. Protandim is the supplement that I use in my practice, and the one that Jenny was describing she used in her horse that was recommended to her. And what I love about Protandim is that it has peer-reviewed studies. So it has research showing its efficacy. And if you love the science and want to read all of those studies, go to pubmed.gov. And that is the National Institute of Health website. And that's where, we find all the studies in the literature. And there are 28 peer-reviewed studies on Protandim, which is unheard of for a nutritional supplement. Usually it's pharmaceuticals that we see that have that amount of research. And the reason there were so many studies that were done by different universities about cancer, arthritis, heart disease, is because Protandim reduces oxidative stress by an average of 40% in 30 days. And that is huge, because oxidative stress is the root cause of of inflammation, of all those diseases. So if you can reduce it by 40%, you're really reducing those risk factors. So because of that initial study showing that 40% decrease in oxidative stress, there were many, many more universities and medical schools that continued to do research on this specific supplement, this patented supplement. This is a great schematic. I'm a visual person, and I like to, really be able to understand how things work. And in every cell in your body, the way things work is you have little, chemical reactions. And when Nrf2 is activated, it actually allows the little blue oval, keep one, to release your Nrf2. And Nrf2 essentially is just a messenger protein. And when it is released, it enters the nucleus of the cell, which is where your DNA is, binds the DNA, your genetic material, and turns on, kind of flips the switch on what we call the survival genes. And the survival genes are anti-inflammatory proteins, antioxidant enzyme production, and detoxification pathways. as well as antifibrotic pathways. So you're decreasing inflammation, decreasing fibrosis or scar tissue, and turning on the production of those antioxidant enzymes that are literally crucial, for life. And I always joke, we all could use more survival genes, or more increasing of our survival genes. So you're wondering, what are the ingredients? What is in this supplement that makes it so effective? And one of those herbs is milk thistle. Milk thistle has been shown to be great for liver health, and at really increasing those antioxidant enzymes. Bacopa, ashwagandha, green tea, and turmeric. And a lot of you have probably heard of some of these herbs. Turmeric has really been found in a lot of supplements lately, and sometimes you can even find some turmeric root at the grocery store. And so it's kind of a trend or a fad that people are starting to be a little more familiar with it. But what you have to remember about turmeric is, by itself, it is not bioavailable and not very effective. So it really needs to be formulated in a way that it does work and make a difference. And that's what I love about this Protandim formula, is even though the herbs are in very low concentrations, they work synergistically together. That specific ratio and the way that it's put together is why it decreases oxidative stress by 40%. And that is why all of those universities and medical schools ended up doing research on Protandim, was because of that specific patented formula. This is one of my favorite papers. It is just about Nrf2. It was published by Washington State, and it is an amazing overview of what Nrf2 does, the importance of its activation. There's a table that shows, what diseases can be prevented and treated from Nrf2 activation. And the title of it is Nrf2, a master regulator of detoxification, antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and other cell protective mechanisms. One of the quotes that really hits home. I mean, it really shows you the significance of this and why this is important information. But it says that Nrf2 may well become the most extraordinary therapeutic and most extraordinary preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. So that is a great paper if you like to, read the science and would like more information. This is another paper on horses, talking about oxidative stress in equine medicine. And just the bottom line, the goal is to maintain that antioxidant-oxidant equilibrium. If you have too many free radicals or oxidants, reactive oxygen species, and not enough antioxidants to lower that level, that is oxidative stress. That is cellular damage. And, the whole horse is made of cells, whether it is, every organ and, every part of the horse is made out of those cells. So unhealthy cells, unhealthy horse. So when inflammation levels are decreased and your antioxidant levels are increased, some of the benefits that I see and that you will see are better skin and coats. I definitely see that one. It's always very impressive to see shinier coats, shorter hair coats, and less skin troubles. Increased energy and endurance, a healthier immune system, better joint health and mobility. That is huge, especially in the equine industry. Reduced joint pain and inflammation, stronger resistance to allergies, better tooth and gum health. And people don't really think about that, but that's a big one. If horses have, problems, dental problems, and, painful gums, it really does make a difference in their, especially the older horses, in their quality of life, and in their behavior too. Better cardiovascular health, increased mental function and alertness, and, pretty much reduction of age-related health problems. There's really that, how do I say it? There's a, they're proportionately related, age and oxidative stress. So this is Puff the pony, so, or the mini, I guess. So Puff was actually the first patient that I put on Protandim, and I was really floored by his response and the way that he responded. I took these videos myself because he was on a 4-week rotation. He had a great farrier that did an amazing job with his little tiny feet. And he, poor little guy, started out just battling laminitis for almost 10 years and had gotten to the point where his quality of life was really poor and he was laying down most of the day. And his owner was very diligent about his care and his diet and making sure that he was on a low starch diet and he had everything that he needed, and yet he was still struggling. And the one thing that made a difference with him in 10 years of me, being his veterinarian, was putting him on Protandim. When I saw his response, I just knew that this was information that I needed to share and that I had to carry it in my truck for my patients, because if it could help this pony who had been crippled for 10 years, and it was that whole roller coaster of laminitis, if you've ever had to deal with it. It is not a foot problem, it's a metabolic problem, and it is so hard. No matter what you do with your feet, if they continue to rotate and they continue to be painful, you just don't make any progress. And there was nothing, we had done everything that we could possibly do for this pony with no improvement whatsoever. It was just a slow decline over the years. And I couldn't believe how well he responded to being on Protandim. This little guy was just on one tablet once a day, and just, it was unbelievable to me to watch how comfortably he was walking when I had never seen him walk that comfortably before. And he wasn't on any pain meds. He had a very sensitive stomach, and we had taken him off Butte many years ago because it didn't seem to help him. So really, these videos were just taken 4 weeks apart, and they really gave me that vision of how important this is, and how important it is to, especially these laminitic patients, how important it is to put them on it right away. This is Nissa, another little laminitic pony. I see a lot of those here. We have red clay and green grass. And unfortunately, I feel like nutritionally, they're not getting what they need. And our grasses here are just very high in sugar because they're stressed by weeds and droughts. And it's very hard to control these horses' diets when they are predominantly on pasture. So this little pony, Nissa, his owner was very diligent. She was very careful, took him off the grass. He was on a dirt lot, on a low starch diet. He had a history of, he was a new client to me, a new patient to me, and he had a history of chronic laminitis and metabolic syndrome. And even though she kept him very thin and she was very careful with his diet, he still had these rings on his feet. And you can see in April when we started him on Protandim, he had that dished appearance where you could tell he had some rotation despite the meticulous diet and not being on the grass. And so I recommended Protandim for him. She started him on one tablet. And by the month of May, you can actually see how that large ring had grown out, and it was almost at the bottom of his foot. So he had grown a ton of foot. The rings were very much decreased and almost, not noticeable at that time. And by the month of July, that ring had grown all the way out. You can see how the foot had been rasped at the bottom by the farrier, but at the top of the hoof, you don't see any more rings. And so, he has done incredibly well. We were able to let him go back out to grazing. And so he doesn't get much grass. It's very limited, but he can be a horse again. And he was able to gain some weight, stay comfortable on his feet. And it's just improved his quality of life tremendously. And it's just, that laminitis can be, it can be very difficult for the owner because it's an up and down roller coaster, and it's very stressful when you've run out of things that you can do to help them. And so this is one of my things that I'm just very appreciative of. It's a tool in my truck that I don't know how I ever lived without. And then this horse, Jax, I'm going to let Jenny come back on and share his story because she was the one who recommended Pro Tandem for him, and she knows his whole background and his story. And it's a wonderful, wonderful testimonial. So I'm excited about it. Thank you, Jenny, for sharing.
Thank you so much, Alice. That was incredible information. Yeah, I have two personal stories that I just want to wrap up this call with you guys and share with you a little bit about. This horse, Jax, I actually sponsored this horse in the, using the Pro Tandem. He is a high school rodeo horse, and he does goat tying and breakaway roping. And so those are both, speed events. They're looking for fast, out of the box, out of the gate, get down to the arena in the fastest time that you can. And so the owner was really just looking for some preventative, some endurance on him. But the biggest thing is he had these hives all over his body that would come on and off a couple times a year. And you can see in that first picture, not only is his coat a lot thicker, but the bumps and the lumps that are, down on the bottom on those front legs. And it was just an issue that the owner had tried many different remedies and never could get them to completely go away. And so with using Pro Tandem for just 3 months, she noticed changes after changes after changes. And the hives went away and they haven't come back at all. So it is pretty incredible to see that change, that inflammation coming out of the body, and it being able to re-heal itself. Not only with the hives going away, his performance was better, his overall health was better. And she just made it to the national high school rodeo finals in goat tying on this horse. So really incredible story here with Jax. The next story I want to share with you guys is a story of another high school rodeo horse. And her name is Rose. Can we get that slide, Alice, to go? Thank you. This is Rose. So she is another high school rodeo horse. She's a barrel racing horse, but a former reined cow horse. And when her owner, took new possession of her, she noticed that Rose was always anxious. She was in her pen, she was pacing, she was continuously just moving back and forth, and she would build these really deep ruts inside of her pen and just could not calm down. And so we put her on Pro Tandem, just more of a preventative measure as far as when you have these barrel racing horses, there's so much strain and stress that goes into their body, on their joints. And so it was really more of just a preventative for her. But the cool story is that within about 4 weeks, her owner went out to the pen, and she just noticed one day that Rose was standing calm in her pen. There was no ruts, like they had formed, the dirt had like filled up and formed over on these ruts. And Rose was just calm. That anxiety was gone. And she just thought, wow, this is really, really cool. And so this is an awesome story of how not only, does it help with inflammation, but it helps on so many different levels inside of our body on a cellular level. And so then I just want to wrap up the call with you guys. We do want to talk just a little bit about how we can help our little, man's best friend, our cats and our dogs that we live with, every single day in our home, because these little guys have enormous amounts of oxidative stress in their body. You know, dogs age 7 times faster than we do as humans. And so we have a special product that has that same Nrf2 technology in it. That is for our dogs and our cats. It's got some chicken flavor in it, so they love to eat it. My little pug comes running from the other side of the house when I shake the bottle because she knows exactly that she's going to get this yummy treat. And so this is called Pet Tandem. And the one thing that I love about when we are giving this product to, you know, our horses, our dogs, and our cats is there's no placebo effect. You're able to see the results, you know, 100 times greater than, you know, we take them as humans and we see and feel those results, but you know, our dogs and our cats and our horses can't tell us that they're feeling better, or they can't tell us that they're feeling bad. So there's no placebo effect when you give it to your animals, which I think is awesome because, you know, you can see it in the way that their quality of life is. When you give it to an old dog that, you know, is kind of getting up there in age and he might not be as active as he was when he was younger, for them to get up and move around and have that quality of life is just awesome to be able to see. So that's kind of the presentation. We just want to thank all of you for being here. I want to thank Dr. Alice Beretta for just her knowledge in these products. We love to share them with people. We love seeing the results in animals. Alice loves seeing those results in her patients. And so I just want to thank her for being on this call. And if you have any questions, if you want more information, please get with the person that invited you to this call. They would be more than happy to be able to talk with you more about it. I know that we kind of threw a lot of information at you and science, and so sometimes it's good to talk to somebody and understand it a little bit more. But thank you so much for being on this call, and everybody have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thanks.